Hello?
Hello guys.
Are you here ba?
Hello?
I'm
Hello?
gonna open my camera.
Hi! Hi! Hello!
What? Ayan, antayin natin si...
Oh,
Ayan.
wow, I miss you guys.
Hello!
Hi. It is so nice we're able to see each other again, even if it's virtually, right? So how
You
are
are
you
right,
doing?
Aja. You know, it's been 2 years since we are able to communicate with one another, since we are all busy on how we can survive in our lives. And right now, I'm currently here in USA for my mid-year. So how about you guys? What are you doing?
Well, for me, I just finished my homework for my class for TED 1205, and it's about various curriculums.
Wow, it is so nice that you have accomplished your work. Well, for me, I am still coping with my online classes, most especially when it comes to curriculum topics.
Yes, that's true. Because I think same lang tayo ng topics ngayon, no? But at least, even though we are separated for 2 or 3 years, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3. But what is most important is that we have communication and also the passion we have for teaching, right?
Mm.
You're
Yeah,
right, girl. I said, Coach. But speaking of various curriculum, I'm currently working with my report about Wheeler as it will be our discussion next Monday. Do you have any idea who is this guy?
You are lucky, Aja, since it is our topic last week in our school. Well, when we say Wheeler model,
I think I need a paper and a pen.
ready ka. Anyway, so according to Buta 2019, Wheeler believes it is a planned experience offered to the learner under the guidance of the school. So Wheeler introduced the concept of continuity, and he developed a cyclical model which shows that evaluation is not the final stage of curriculum development, and thus evaluation can become a source of improvement in objective and other stage of curriculum system. So when we say curriculum system na i-develop ni Wheeler, it has 5 stages. So it has selection of aims, selection of learning experience, selection of content, the organization and integration of learning experience, and evaluation of the effectiveness, which isasend ko din mamaya yung picture. So we can have an example on what is Wheeler model through K-12 program that is happening there in the Philippines. So for example, since 2022, graduate na yung pioneers ng K-12 program. So, meron ng objective. Now, we need to evaluate if the K-12 curriculum is effective towards with them, if they have a better work, better professionalism, or better workforce on the curriculum. So, ititignan dun yung gaps. Kung merong gaps, i-improve and iikot ulit yung cycle ni Wheeler model.
Oh, and I also remember it was discussed by our professor yesterday. So in addition to what have JC mentioned, the Wheeler's model has also its similarities and differences. But first, let me talk about the differences of the Wheeler model. So for instance, the Wheeler model can be compared to Tyler's model. So according to HASA 2020, their main difference is that the Tyler model of curriculum is a linear model, while the Wheeler model is the cyclic model. Although Tyler's model is an old model, it is still commonly used in the curriculum. So Wheeler's model, on the other hand, is the cyclic model. Based on Tyler's model, this model states that it is a development or a continuous cycle which is responsive to the changes of educational sector. Tyler's model has 4 components, while the Wheeler's model has 5. So the Wheeler's model composed of aims, objectives, and goals, learning experiences, selection of content, organization, and integration of learning experience, and lastly, we have evaluation. So, meron tayong ipapakita na image mamaya kung ano ba ang itsura ng cyclic model. So, So while the evaluation phase in model exists, the evaluation in Tyler's model is terminal because it is the final stage of a linear model. But the evaluation in the Wheeler's model is not. Though the feedback from the evaluation phase has been reduced to goals and objectives. Also, in the Wheeler's model, in the Tyler's model, the content is distinct from the learning experiences from which it was generated, whereas there is no separate component for the content in Tyler's model. For their similarities, both model involves curriculum development process. They also provide structure for examining the model. And lastly, they are designed to provide a basic or for decisions regarding selection, structuring, and education experiences.
Yes, I agree. That's true, Hannah. And of course, it is also important sa atin or kay Aja rin para malaman niya yung strengths and limitations or rather yung weakness ng Wheeler's model. First, the strength of this model is that this is a continuing activity. Wheeler model is a model that indicates curriculum development, katulad ng sinabi nila na continuous cycle siya. So, its strength is that it shows curriculum development that should adapt to changes in the education sector and make appropriate modifications to account for these changes. Second is that the new information will be incorporated into the curriculum because for the developer of this model, I just remembered din na what I did or sinagot ko sa last formative ko is that, just to share lang na there will always be changes when new information or practices are introduced, which is why new information should always be included in the curriculum. Third is that, as stated by Buta in the year 2019, feedback plays a crucial role in developing learners' proficiency skills. So, the curriculum should include feedback processes. And as I have observed, katulad na rin sa iba, I think, I hope we are in the same page, no? Na yung Wheeler model, it plays a high value sa feedback. And by providing feedback, we are able to adapt knowledge faster and avoid repeating mistakes, di ba? And as a result ng feedback, students become more motivated to perform well. Okay? And fourth, it emphasizes situational analysis. We may consider that it is important for a curriculum to reconsider situational analysis. Bakit? If we were to define a situational analysis and needs assessment are important for formulating curriculum intent, the selection of learning and teaching activities. So, by doing so, educators are able to meet the needs and expectations ng mga students nila. So, therefore, we can suggest and say that Wheeler's model is a valuable and effective approach. Kaso, may weaknesses din yan. Yung model na to, medyo time-consuming siya in the light of the fact that yung method na to is based on situational analysis nga. So, medyo nahirapan tayo. And furthermore, it's difficult to locate because it focuses on the objectives, and it focuses on the, yun nga, sabi ko, focus siya sa objectives rather than the other areas of the curriculum. And also, last na, Wheeler's model certainly lacks procedure in organizing and integrating learning experiences, content, and evaluation. Ayun.
And I guess to further elaborate what the others mentioned, I can give you examples basically. And from keep in mind, this is the examples I will present to you is mainly from the YouTube video I watched like yesterday by Kevin Bautista. So my example would start off probably within the context of the pandemic. Ever since the pandemic came, it affected mainly like a huge portion of the teaching and learning itself. It has been greatly affected by the teachers and students on how they learn and how they teach basically. And one way to fully fully adapt to changes is by introducing a new alternative method of learning itself, which is now called blended learning. This blended learning method is probably one of the most suitable learning modality that is very fitting for our during the pandemic itself. Blended learning is mainly revolving around students and teachers does not necessarily be needed to be in the same geographical location, and it requires a lot of necessarily like equipment basically, and especially the internet though. And in relation with the curriculum itself, as you may have seen, in the old curriculum before the pandemic came, it mainly was revolving towards the more traditional method, which is like physically teaching students on in the physical classroom. But when the pandemic came, it started introducing new alternative curriculums wherein the technology itself is being introduced to teaching practices and teaching methods, and how students are able to much more be well equipped. But by doing so, the curriculum was able to generate like applications such as quizzes, Mentimeter, and other edtech tools that will further help students and teachers engage in the online setting. With that being said, moreover, the feedback that was obtained from the students and even the teachers was able to be taken note of by the academic leaders, thus adapting to many changes and relevant throughout the curriculum as we see now. Did you understand, Aja?
Oh, wow. Thank you for that wonderful and awesome insights.
Totoo ba? Patingin nga namang sinulat mo.
Uy, grabe ka.
Next Monday. You know what, guys? Every step in the curriculum process is important. But as a teacher, one of the most important process when it comes to the curriculum process is the curriculum implementing. This is where the action takes place. The teacher's role here is the daytimes will now be put into action and will make the curriculum itself more alive. Thus, curriculum implementation describes a process through which a teacher transforms a work plans and lessons that will be taught to students. The expected improvements are brought about through the implementation, which is an important part of curriculum development. This means that teaching strategies and how the teachers teach or facilitate the learning are vital inside the classroom. So therefore, in terms of implementing curriculum, the learner will be the main primary focus. So as mentioned by Beriaco 2019, as part of the curriculum implementation process, learners are assisted in gaining knowledge and experience. It is essential to remember that learners are necessary for the implementation of the curriculum. So as a result, the learner takes center stage in the process of implementing the curriculum.
Nako naman, ang dami mo namang sinabi, Aja. So, feeling ko ready ka na sa Monday. Hopefully, nakatulong yung mga sinabi naming insights about Wheeler model.
True!
Thank you so
Top 1 ka natin. Wait, guys.
Ano yun, Bri?
May klase na ako.
Totoo ba? Wait lang.
I have to go.
Ala, oo nga. Since 9:30 na. Sige, ako din. Baka magkaklase na din ako. Nice chit-chatting.
Okay, guys.
Nice, thank you so much.
Kitang-kita naman na para na tayo teacher when it comes to speaking. So,
Balitaan mo kami, Aja.
Yeah.
See you. Bye.
Good luck, Aja. Good luck, everyone.
Bye, guys!
Yeah, nice seeing you guys.